On today's episode, deterrence, automation, DIY versus professional. That's right, we're talking security, specifically home security on this one. We're talking with Justin Thompson, owner of Thompson Security. I'm Josh Waters, we're working from home. Hey Justin, how you doing today, man? It's good to see you.
Good, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm excited to talk some security. Specifically, we're gonna go over residential security this time.
Okay, awesome.
So how's the security world? Is it crazy out there right now?
Unfortunately in Albuquerque, the biggest thing that we score top marks in is crime, So we end up doing a lot of unfortunate situations and people reacting to those and giving us a call to get secured. So there's definitely not a lack of business in my industry.
A question just popped into my head. How often is it more often for people to call you after something has already happened and they're, oh crap, now I need security? Or do most people call you before something happens just to get prepped?
Usually what happens, it's in their sphere. So a neighbor gets broken into or one of their friends gets broken into, and then that's when we'll get a call. So fortunately, a lot of times it's not our clients that are getting broken into. So we do have a lot where we're promoting our systems and whatnot and talking to people and doing consultations, and the decision gets put off and put into their to-do pile, so to speak, and eventually something unfortunately does happen, and then we get a call. So kind of wakes them up. So unfortunately in Albuquerque, doesn't matter where you are and what part of town, you're always at risk for property crime and break-ins.
Our first point, deterrence. I'm assuming you put that first because that's got to be one of the more important things when thinking about home security, is just making it more difficult or making it so they don't even want to think about it. Can you dive a little deeper into deterrence?
Yeah, so one of the biggest reasons to have something is to have that deterrent to your house. Only 1 in 5 houses in Albuquerque actually have an alarm system, which is crazy to me. So the biggest thing you want to do is create deterrence. You want to make your house harder than your neighbor's house, as bad as that sounds. So, because these guys that are doing this stuff, they're not masterminds. They're usually it's a thing of circumstance. It's or convenience or ease, where they see that they can get away with something quick and easy. And if your house looks like it's harder to do than your neighbors, just logically speaking, who do you think they're going to go to? Yeah. So you want to make sure. I've had a lot of clients want to hide the surveillance cameras or make them low profile. And our advice is always no. You want them out there. You want people to see them. The point of this is so they know that you are serious about security. So if you got cameras, then you most likely have an alarm. Or other avenues to protect your home, and that you're serious about it.
Yeah, no, we didn't have we had a floodlight camera, but it happened to, and even with that, it was a deterrent. The guy checked twice. I saw it the next day about 3 a.m. A guy came down our street with, he had gloves, a mask, a hoodie on, grocery bag in his hand, and he was just coming through checking cars. And unfortunately my wife forgot to lock her car that night, and she left her wallet in, and fortunately I have all of my finances on lockdown, so it asks me if anybody tries to spend more than $100. But if that wouldn't have happened, we would have been out. They tried to spend, I think, at like $1,200-$1,300 worth of gift cards at the stores right around the corner, and they did take a double look. But my security also doesn't say anything. It doesn't make any noise. So I don't know if is there like a specific way that you would recommend, especially because outside is where it starts, right? Outside is where the deterrence starts. Is there, besides having cameras visible, is there another way that you kind of advise having things set up?
Well, I mean, you want lighting, and there are cameras that'll make noise and, hey, you're on video and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is you want light. You want things to be visible. You want the cameras out there so you can see, and you want alerts. So you want to have the analytics built into your cameras to where you get an alert, where it says, hey, someone's at your car, And they have the technology right now that link in with your alarm system where they can do that, to where, it'll tell you, hey, someone's at your car, someone's been there for 20 seconds, and you can set different parameters, different rules to give you those alerts. So those are definitely things that you want to consider. And then obviously lock your car.
Yeah.
That's the thing of convenience. He's just looking for that easy open the door and and see what he can snag. So
And it was at 3 a.m. that this guy was rolling around. So I'm like,
Yeah.
he's got to be still up, right? He's not like getting up early, taking a shower, brushing his teeth, like getting ready for his day
Right.
of small crime. Like
Going to his 9 to 5.
yeah. And if he actually did that way, he probably would be a lot more successful than going around
Right.
taking people's crap out of the cars. And it was more of an inconvenience than anything, because now, new ID, new wallet. And I'm
Yeah.
sure it's just at any time something gets stolen or somebody gets into something, it's just the inconvenience of now you got another thing on your plate that you have to worry about.
Deterrence side too, it's one of the most important things, and the biggest weaknesses we see in a lot of the alarm systems we do consultations on is they don't do all the doors and windows. A lot of companies out there will talk them into doing just a couple doors and a motion sensor, because hey, if they get in, the motion sensor will catch them. What a lot of people don't consider is the alarm system isn't for when you're away, it's for when you're home. So I mean, put yourself in that position. That guy was all the way in your car, so that's less than 100 feet probably from your bedroom window. So put the different guy that all of a sudden decides he's going to come in the house. So wouldn't you want your alarm system going off if somebody opened your window while you're home, or your wife's home alone, or your kids, things like that. So a lot of companies, a lot of the big guys, the big national companies will only do doors because they say that you have a motion sensor to catch the rest. So one of the biggest things that I would say, if anybody is looking at a security system, is do all your doors and windows, because every one you leave undone is just a gamble that you hope they don't go through that one.
Yeah. And it's just, I guess, yeah, it's like you said, it's a gamble, and how much you're willing to gamble on safety. And I think at the end of the day, it's not about stuff is replaceable, right? So it's about safety and security.
Exactly.
And even if you're not, even if, you don't want your things being stolen, and, you can have other things, but it's safety and security mentally too, where you can sleep peacefully at night knowing if somebody comes in, it's going to go off.
That you're going to be alerted, something's going to wake you up. So a lot of homes are built where the kids rooms are on the other side of the house from the master bedroom, purposely like that. My own personal home is like that. And that's, one of our biggest things is we want to know if one of our kids' bedrooms is opened, then, then we're alerted. I did a consultation for an elderly lady, and the insurance agent had taken a look at her house. And just because we were friends and we've talked about security before, he noticed that window didn't have a contact at all. And she woke up to somebody with a screwdriver trying to get into the window, and she was sleeping under the window. You couldn't see her. The bed was up against the wall.
Oh no.
So if he would have gotten into the window, he would have literally fell on top of her.
Yeah.
And I walked her through her system, and her system wouldn't have gone off until he walked out the front door.
Jeez.
If he walked out the front door.
That's crazy. People are, like you said, they're not super villains. They're not,
right.
They're not planning this stuff. It's very sporadic, and they're just walking down the street and that one, and they just go for it. Mm-hmm. They don't think. As far as kind of brings us into our next topic, automation, right? You want to not worry about it. That's another, a big thing for me is I like things, all my bills are automated, I like smart home things. So my lights turn on and off at different times. I personally love automation. It's one more thing off of my plate that I don't have to worry about. And the more things I can automate to work more efficiently. So I'm guessing that's a big part of with the way technology is going and security, right?
Right. So one of the big things that, is made, us relevant and whatnot is being able to link all of the automation devices into one app. So the software that we use allows us as a company, we can connect anything from your sprinkler system all the way to your doorbell camera, your door locks, everything else. You can link all that together in one app. I've been to numerous homes where you walk in and oh yeah, my home's automated. Here's one app for my garage door. Here's one app for my doorbell camera. Here's one app for my door lock. I think my record, I think I got rid of 7 apps on someone's home where they literally had 7 different things that they would have to open on their phone that none of them communicated together because they were going online into the insane world of Amazon and automation. And they were just buying the, easiest, cheapest thing they could see, and none of them linked together. So you couldn't communicate. They don't communicate with each other. There's no notifications based on each other. And that's one of the things that's been big in our industry, is being able to link all that together, where people say, oh, you're a home security company. Well, here's why I don't have a security system. And they don't realize, well, it's not just security. You've got your automation, your door locks, your doorbell camera, ways to take your security into your own hands as well, be able to interact with your own system to be able to protect your home, and not just hope that the police show up on time, because we don't know that that's an issue,
especially here, locally in Albuquerque. I'm sure lots of big, like, metropolitan areas, it's an issue where I've got lots of friends that are police officers, and they'd love to come out and help you if somebody breaks in. But unfortunately,
short-handed.
They're short-handed, and when they got to make calls and somebody's in like real physical danger, or there's a shooting, something crazy going on, somebody breaking into your house and trying to take your TV is going to fall to the wayside. So having to be able to protect it on your own and deterring them from even trying in the first place, and then having everything automated, so you know what the heck's going on. Like I said, I love the smart home stuff. I have been, since it was a thing, I love technology for technology's sake. It's just really fun and interesting to me. And I learned, a while ago when I was doing the same thing. I had 10 different apps for different things in my house, and it gets to a point where it's a novelty, and it's great that you have all these smart things. But you can't use it efficiently, and it's more work to, go into 4 different apps to get your lights to turn on or to get your camera to move or something.
Right.
When you could have just walked over and flipped the switch. And you don't want your security to be a cool novelty. You want it to work efficiently in the background without you having to even think or worry about it.
And that's one of the issues, like I say, with some of these other companies that are getting into the market, is they're creating their own line of automation to where you can only use their system and their hardware and their equipment. The software we use, as long as the partners, the other hardware providers, things like that, are willing to work with them and meet their encryption settings and level of professionalism there, to where everything's protected, they'll actually partner with they've partnered with dozens of different hardware providers for locks. They're not manufacturing the locks and the sprinkler software and all of that. They're partnering with brands like Ratio and Kwikset and different brands like that, in order to make sure that they can provide that whole home experience through their software. And they just want to be the software, the security, and the protection, and be able to offer that to their clients.
So they're kind of the hub. So you can have different cameras and locks and different products. They're not developing products. They're a good hub where it's going to take all of your things, because there's a lot of options. There's a ton of options when it comes to locks and cameras and everything that you could possibly buy. So that's really cool. So is that kind of correct? It's just they're a good central hub for everything.
Yep. So there's, they use a specific signal to communicate with that hub, and as long as that hardware is using that signal as well, there's only 2 of these encrypted signals out there, and most of the equipment is one of the other. It's split down the middle, but as long as it is that encrypted signal, so we're not using Bluetooth and things like that to unlock your door, because it's going to leave you open. It's different ways to get into that. This is an encrypted signal into your alarm system. So as long as the hardware is able to have that signal, then it's going to connect to our system. So
that's super cool. Yeah, that's really cool and very helpful to give people options. You're not just stuck with this one product that we're going to offer you, and you don't have choices out there.
Yep.
I want to get into DIY, because there's a ton of stuff out there, right? You can just go on Amazon and buy anything. It's incredible the things that you can buy on Amazon.
Right.
And so with so many options, I want to talk DIY versus hiring a professional. When we bought our new home, we kind of looked at both, and I went the DIY route.
Right.
And I'm curious to hear kind of what you think. I have Wise cams.
Okay.
They're all over the place. They work fairly efficiently. You got to stay on top of it a little more because there's not a monitoring. I don't pay
Right.
for monitoring.
Mhm.
So if somebody is going to DIY, is there advice or tips that you have for them that might help them and not make some mistakes up front?
I mean, it's really, and the problem with the DIY is that I mean, you can go on Amazon and look, and you'll find a camera for $10, and you'll find the same looking camera for 1,000.
Mm.
What's the difference? And that's the hard part, is being able to see the specs and see what is the difference, and are the specs legitimate. I'm sure you've seen all those funny memes and stuff where they get a carpet that they thought was a carpet and ends up being a 2 inch by 2 inch square material.
Mm.
So I mean, those are the different things that you're looking at when you go DIY. So if you're not tech savvy, then you're going to have some issues with that, to where you're going to end up spending more money on experimental equipment trying to figure out what works than just hiring a consultant to come in and do it. Some of our big competitors in DIY, of course, is Ring. And in a lot of situations, if you have a professional come in and do that system, by the time you have them do it, as opposed to the electrician you probably would have had to hire to do the cameras, the security professionals end up, as priced comparatively, really about the same cost. The big issue that I have with DIY is a lot of it is internet based. New Mexico stereotypically has just a weak internet infrastructure in general. And so if it's not reliable, I mean, our internet here at the office goes down once a day, and it's not a big outage. It's on and then off. But at that point, all your things have been disconnected. And like your Wise cams, I'm sure once in a while that you have to reset them to get them to reconnect to the internet.
Mm.
And that's because your internet went down for half a second at one point. It just didn't reconnect. So if I'm giving advice as far as DIY is, you make sure you have to actively be looking at your system constantly, because it's a very high likelihood that it goes down and doesn't reconnect, and that's when something happens to where you didn't catch it because you didn't see your camera had been down for 2 weeks. With the DIY, I would just say make sure you're always looking at the status and everything going on there, and make sure that you have good signal as far as if you're going to have it monitored. If Comcast came out with this security system and they were bundling and all of this, and what people didn't realize, especially in the beginning, is that was all communicating over the internet. So where does the internet come into your house? Right on the side of your house, usually right in the front yard. Disconnect the internet, lose your system. So whereas a professional company is always going to use a cell monitored system to avoid the ability to disconnect your alarm system from the outside of your home, because that defeats the purpose.
Or just your internet goes down. Mine does that typically, and it's a pain in the butt because my entire house goes down when the internet company decides to, and I work from home on top of it. So when the internet company goes down, so does my life, unfortunately. So that's having security would be that doesn't, at least you have one thing that you're not having to worry about being down.
Not having to depend on anything outside of the home to secure your home and everything else.
So professionals, you talked a little bit about what a professional does. It's gonna, especially if you're not tech savvy, and if you don't want to spend some time, because I enjoy technology, so I spent a lot more time doing research into it. So most people probably aren't going to do that, or not going to care to do that. What's a professional like yourself or your company going to offer to people that you just can't do by yourself?
I mean, the biggest thing is the consultation itself, to come in and say, here's your weak points in your home. Here's where we would protect it. Here's where I'd put your cameras. Here's where you're going to get the actual best coverage. So there's some things with just the angles of a camera that a lot of people don't, take into consideration and whatnot, that we can say, hey, look, this is what we've seen. I had a client that did this, and this was the issue that they had. the experience that comes with, and being able to go in and say, look, this is the hardware you're going to want. This is why you don't want, this hardware. These are the issues with that piece of equipment, and why this one's, like I said, $10 as opposed to this one's $1,000. So it's one of those things to have that, just same as you as a realtor, if, I'm sure you look at homes that are for sale by owner, and you're like, you don't know what you don't know. And you don't know the hoops you're going to have to jump through, and where you're going to lose money thinking that you're not going to have to pay that whole, tiny percentage to a realtor. It doesn't make sense. So it's the same concept where you don't want to go and buy, if you have to buy 10 of those $10 cameras with no warranty, no professional installation, because none of them worked, you may as well pay a professional to come in and do it for you. On top of that, if you're not tech savvy, or for me, I would never want to get up on my own roof and run the wires and get everything else for the cameras, or, trying to connect everything or to support it. I just want to be able to call somebody and say, hey, this is going on, I need you to fix it. And that's what we provide. A lot of my clients that I set up actually just text me to get help, and I just pass it off to make sure to get it to the office, so they're not dealing with an 800 number. They're not having to troubleshoot it themselves. With most of those, that's what you end up doing.
Yeah, you're messing with it yourself. And
Right.
I'm sure, cost wise, look, like if you take a step back into just the last, 10 years, having a security, like growing up, having somebody that had a security system, it was a whole setup. It was a room with monitors or a TV
Right.
and boxes and wires, and it would cost a ridiculous amount of money. And, manpower, you have to have a whole tower. Now with technology, the cost has got to be significantly different to have an entire full camera system, security,
Right.
lights, everything going, to compared to what it used to be
Right.
back when everything was wired and
Oh, yeah.
everything was, the technology is just not where it is now, obviously.
Right. Yeah. And now it's all like 90% of what we do can be done wirelessly. So you go in and it's not a complicated thing if you know what you're doing. But if you're getting a DIY system, that's the main thing, is, do you know what you're doing? And do you want to take the time? I know for me to try and learn a whole nother industry just for one account, I would rather pay somebody else to do that for me. And when it really comes down to it, if you compare that cost and whatnot to the warranty and everything else that you get with a professional company, that really comes down to, very insignificant amount of difference in cost.
That's awesome, man. Well, and I will, I'm going to leave your contact, the office contact, down in, and leave some links down in the description. So if anybody locally wants to get in touch with you, they can. So you can come out to their house and show them, how it can benefit them so much. Especially here, like you said, in Albuquerque. It's Albuquerque metro area. I live in Rio Rancho, which is a suburb of Albuquerque. If you don't live here, it's much less likely that kind of stuff is going to happen, and we have still had incidences here as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think it matters where you are. Somebody can decide to pick your house.
And that's the thing is, Rio Rancho's, we actually do a lot of work up in Rio Rancho. It seems like people a little bit more proactive up there as far as that. And maybe that's why you don't see quite as much. So as a community. Yeah.
And I always say people come to Rio Rancho when they're ready to be left alone. They live in Albuquerque. It's fun and they're hanging out, and, and then they come to Albuquerque when they just want to go to work and go home and, wave at the neighbor, go into the grocery store without somebody asking them for something. It's where people are ready to be quiet and just go to work and come home, have a good dinner, watch a ball game, be left alone. Cool, man. Well, that was awesome. Was there anything that, any questions that I didn't ask, anything that we may have missed today?
Like I say, we do consultations with all of our clients. So, anyone out there that is looking for security consultation, we do no pressure, no rush type thing, where we'll just give you a consultation, let you know what you need to look for. Whether you go with us or not, at least you get the knowledge to protect your home and make sure to keep the riffraff out.
Cool. Well, like I said, I'm going to leave all your information. Make sure to reach out over at Thompson Security so they can make make your home safer. And I know you also do commercial too. We're going to have you back on to talk about commercial. I'm sure that's a whole different monster.
Whole different ball game.
So we'll definitely get into that. But
well, thanks for having me on, man. And let me know in the future if you need anything. Okay.
Hey man, will do. I'm always happy to send people your way, especially because you run a solid company. You're a good guy. So, but cool. All right, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much, Justin, for coming in and hanging out with us today and sharing all about home security. I'm excited to have you on again. We're going to go over commercial security next time. So if you are interested in that or anything else related to real estate, business, and investing, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and send it to your friends. Of course, I'm Josh Waters. I am a residential realtor and team lead here in the Albuquerque metro area. And if you're coming to the area looking to buy or sell, we would love to talk to you. I would love to chat with you, see how I can best help serve you and meet your real estate goals. So feel free to click the link in the description or on the main page. You can set up an appointment right from my website, and you can find my phone number where you can call or text there as well. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. Hope you have a wonderful day. Again, I'm Josh Waters, and you've been working from home.